to our blog section. And if you hadn't had a chance to read James's blog, we're going to kind of use this kind of as an outline. And James is going to get a little more elaborate in some of those, uh, what he has envisioned for FinerWorks for this year. And so I'll let James do that, and then I'll pop in and we'll talk about topics for this year's, what we're changing our title to from live chats to live discussions, because that's really what we try to do. And we try to get your feedback on stuff. And again, we make these available on our YouTube channel. So if you're catching it on the replay, make sure to leave us the comments in there so that we can answer any of your questions. So with that, let me hit stop share and let James take over.
Well, you can, okay, well, yeah, I guess, should I share my screen or?
Oh, yeah, I can, let me do that. Let me get you the host.
You know what, I'm on a kind of weird monitor configuration. So if you want to just go back to share your screen and just share that page. I guess just the graphic, the header is fine.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah. So thanks a lot for introducing this. And yeah, I don't. We may have some people jumping in, like you said. A lot of people are just kind of not really in that mode of they might just be still getting back into the whole workflow and so forth. So, which for me used to mean going to bed early and so just not really want to do much after you get home from work and just kind of veg. So but fortunately this will be available for watching later on. And really just, kind of keep it somewhat informal. Just want to talk about some of the things we have planned for 2022. We kind of look back at 2021 and how it's leading us into 2022. And, every year there's always, surprises. Hopefully they're good surprises, but 2021 probably was more surprising than I expected. And that is because I wasn't expecting some of the supply shortages which became kind of our biggest, the biggest pain we felt. Obviously 2020 was painful for everyone. Everyone was affected by in 2020 in some form or fashion in a negative way. But there was some positives that came out of it. For us, at least, it did force us into revisiting how we were operating FinerWorks for our users. And 2021 really kind of drilled home the need to implement those changes. And a lot of these were behind the scenes, more infrastructure, making us, streamlining certain things that we needed to do. And so 2022, our plan is to continue to do that. I had a meeting with our management team, and we talked about what we called our 2022 action plan. And I keep forgetting to send this to you, Melissa. I was going to, and I won't go into all of it because a lot of it's just kind of boring, kind of not, it's good reading if you have trouble falling asleep. But but we talked to, within FinerWorks, and this was all about making FinerWorks better for our customers, because without our customers, we wouldn't be here. So one of the things I really kind of drilled home within our meeting when we talked about our 2022 action plan is, what do we need to do to become a better company? And we talked about staffing. There's, which is a very hard, difficult thing to manage. Staffing obviously is one of the bigger costs any company can have, but it wasn't really the cost, and it wasn't the ability to find talented people, because that, proud to say we do pay probably a little bit above average than most companies. For the I almost call it the caliber of employees, for people that might not necessarily have very specific skill sets, that people that we want to train on the job. So finding people is not always difficult, but where it becomes difficult is when we need to find people with very specialized skills. But we did find gaps that we need to fill. And so we were going to be focusing on those. People, go on vacation, staff get sick, what have you. It creates holes in the production process, especially in the different production departments. So that was probably a something that, that's always been a challenge. And I think we made some improvements by having redundancy, more employees in certain roles, being able to cross-train people, that sort of thing. So we were able to improve our turnaround time. Obviously, during peak hour or peak seasons, it's always difficult. I don't care how many people you hire, because there's other things that make it difficult to get orders out. But from supply, waiting for supplies to get delivered so you can complete an order, and to just a number of things. So, but we are going to continue to look at ways we can improve it. I did notice that a lot of our customers were trying to reach out to us, especially during the holiday season. They had questions, concerns. They were just curious about, maybe what type of inks we use. So our customer service reps were just inundated with tickets and phone calls. And at one point we just had to shut down the phones because we couldn't answer all the calls. And it took us a lot longer to respond back. Typically our average response time is less than 24 hours. That's even when taking weekends into consideration. Obviously, we don't always typically respond on weekends, but
Randy came in and
yeah, but during the holiday season, unfortunately, just because the sheer volume of new customers coming in, we realized that we're going to need to come up with some ways to speed that communication up, and improve that communication with customers. Communication, and for any artist, any photographer that is selling their work, that is involved in that selling process, the most important thing the most important part of your transaction with your customer, with your buyer, is communication. I had a discussion with one of our vendors who was here, met with today. We're negotiating pricing on packaging materials, and he's getting he's also getting, I think he's working toward his master's degree, and we're talking about the professors that he has, and some of them been teaching business classes since literally in the 1960s, and we're talking about how business has changed since then. And one of the things is communication, how communication is done in business, and that's because business has changed. More stuff is done online. People are selling more online. So how you communicate with your customers can make or break a sale, because customer's perception is much more complex to get across, or getting across certain ideas or information to customers is a little bit more complex. Give you an example is when you're at an art show, and when you're selling a print or an original piece, and someone comes up to you and asks, well, you know, how much is that print? You know, how much is it? Okay. And the artist can say, oh, it's, you know, $100. Well, you know, it's a very direct communication. The customer hears the inflection, the emotion, what have you, and the voice. So they're not put out by that. But what if they came up to the artist selling, and the artist, and they asked, well, how much is that? How much is that? And the artist says $100, you know, sounding kind of abrupt and just kind of just like they're not interested, or like you're bothering them. Well, unfortunately, people tend to carry their emotional state with them. Buyers tend to carry their emotional state with them when they shop online. So it's very easy for them to project certain things which are not there. So if a buyer asks you, well, how much is that? And they ask you online, and they email you online, and you just say $100. Okay. If they're in a negative emotional state, they're more likely to receive that answer in a negative emotional fashion.
They put it in a bad voice in their head already. It came off as a snappy, snarly person. And I get that. That's what people do that with bots too. They say that person treated me really badly. And I hear companies say, well, it was a bot. So I don't think I don't think the bot meant to treat you badly.
So people, so your buyers that are buying from you online, they have a tendency, and that's not everyone, but it happens more often than you might think, to project their own emotional state on their customer service rep, however they're dealing with. Now, it's easier if it's a, you know, by voice, because they can hear the seller's voice and say, oh, they're responding in a lighthearted, you know, happy tone of voice, not in a gruff, I don't want to be bothered tone of voice. Same words are used, okay, but an emotional state can be conveyed effectively by voice. So, you know, so when responding to your buyers by email, by text, it's very important that the seller respond in a, you know, be conscientious in their response. Okay. Such as, okay, if I respond this way, is that going to be taken? Could that be taken negative? How do I decrease the chance that would be taken in a negative fashion? So sometimes you kind of fluff up the message. Say, so when they ask how much, say, oh, thanks for emailing me. That's going to be $100. If you have any more questions, please reach out back to me, you know, or, you know, give them some more additional information. Write some information that shows you care. Don't try to sound, do not try to sound, don't project your own emotional state in your email. Don't try to sound happy and so forth in the email, because there's a good chance that the person reading it won't perceive that. Mm-hmm. Use the actual words, the terminology to convey that, not because it's really easy for you to write something and you be in a good state of mind, and you assume that everyone, just because you're in the good state of mind, that when you go back and read your text, that everyone is going to receive that same state of mind. So it's a little kind of psychological thing that you have to be aware of when you're dealing with your customers. So try to do, sound patient, and that's important. Sound patient with them. So communication, that's something we at FinerWorks, we are also going to be working on.
Yeah.
So now we got some great customer service staff.
Great customer service.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah. And obviously we, when it even with them, it happens, not often, but it happens that they send a message and someone responds, say, says, sends another email, say, well, so and so was rude, and it's like, oh, well, we definitely didn't mean to be rude or come across as rude. So, and we look and we review the email and say, okay, what could we have said differently? Now you're going to find buyers that you no matter what,
yeah,
they're going to just be determined that everyone they're dealing with is rude to them. So so be it. You're going to have those type of people, but there's a time we look and say, yeah, we probably could have worded this way or spent more time on the email. Sometimes it's hard, especially when you're busy, but you try to do that. And so by maybe bringing in more staff so we can, disperse the work, so it's not as overbearing. Gives them time to spend, gives them more time to spend trying to convey and communicate accurately. So communication is key, and I think that we are going to be working on that. And I think if you're selling your artwork online, should also be looking at trying to do that as well. Find ways you can improve communication with your customers, because there's a good chance that those customers become repeat customers just because they like the experience.
One of the tips I got in a business communications class I had taken was, it was from the professor, and I thought this was the best thing. Whenever I have to go do an email response, start smiling and try to stay smiling through your whole thing, because it actually helps you write things. And I don't know how, but it's true. If you stay smiling, it's just as if you were talking to a person in front of you.
I would say that's probably good advice, but you have to also be careful, because you don't want people to assume that it's really easy, to be to kind of have tunnel vision when you're approaching a message, because you're thinking, okay, I'm smiling, I'm happy. Everyone else is going to see that I'm happy, but you can easily use the wrong word or the wrong phrase that comes across that you're not happy. So I
think he may be like mindset, trying to get into that mindset.
Just what he said has some weight, but again, many times your readers are going to project their own.
Yeah, I think when you're also trying to give instructions, and it's, I guess, I think I run into it with geo galleries too, when people are trying to get very technical, just, saying they want to know exactly where to go. And you're just giving like a rundown of here, click here. And, it may come off as cold.
But you're just trying to be, provide the information.
You don't want to fluff, directions, because,
that sometimes that gets confusing. So,
so that's why I like these chats that we've done. I think giving a face to our company, a voice to the company. I think a lot of people this past year, from the feedback I've heard, have really liked this and have an understanding of that. I've noticed this year we've gotten a lot more on Google reviews and just comments that people really like our customer service staff, and they already know if they've been with us, oh, it's Christmas coming. I'm kind of concerned about, getting an answer on a product, and, but they've learned over the years about how to be very straightforward. Here's the order number. I just need the shipping status, or it needs to be out by this date. And I think a lot of people who've been with us over the years get to know our customer service staff, and they know even some of our older customer service staff and miss them too. But it kind of is, I like it that people kind of get a mom and pop feel a little bit, like they feel like they're communicating with a person when they're doing all of these. And I think the chats kind of help people with that.
Sure. So I'm going to continue here with the, we kind of talked about our action plan, and there's some other things in our action plan that are more internal, such as department changes and that some of the things we want to do with the technology, improve technology, streamlining certain things. People may start noticing some changes in the packaging, and it's mainly to areas where we've identified areas where we've overpackaged. Okay, and we've identified areas where we've underpackaged, and it's real easy to do either one. Overpackaging is maybe putting things in boxes that are bigger than they need to be. Underpackaging is maybe packaging too many products into like too many prints rolled up and put in a shipping tube. That might be underpackaging. So we're going to be testing different things. Obviously, there's some risk with both overpackaging and underpackaging. One is that you do run into increased rate of damage with underpackaging because everything is more tightly contained in there. And overpackaging, you have more void to fill, and if you don't fill it properly, boxes get crushed and so forth. So we're looking at that. We did, some of you guys may have noticed over the past year that you ran into more situations where orders were being shipped at separate times. Some of that's not hard to avoid because as we've expanded, even though we're in the same facility, it's much harder to coordinate orders, especially with the volume of orders we give. Someone orders a coffee mug and then they order a canvas print. Well, they're two different sections of our facility, and the coffee mug might be done, within 12 hours of the order being placed, whereas the canvas print might take 24 to 48 hours, depending upon the different departments' workloads and so forth. Usually, if the time frame is not too great, we try to group the items together and ship them together. But there's also times where we run out of stock, and this kind of leads into something that I'll be talking about is shortages. But more often than not, it's just a situation where, let's say someone orders a particular frame print and they order a metal print with it. Well, the frame, might be out of stock, or we don't have enough in inventory to meet that order because right before your order was placed, someone else placed an order and used up a large order and used up all that inventory. So we have to, frame molding inventory is something that it ebbs and flows with us and our suppliers. So there's times where we're able to complete part of an order and we have another part of the order it's not on hold. It's just waiting for that inventory to get in so we can do it. So we'll ship part of the order. So we're going to try to.
So we have somebody joining us right now. Steve, if you could just mute yourself because we're hearing some background. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. So anyway, we're going to work on just because it's always nicer to get the products all at once versus in two separate shipments. So we're going to try to improve that, where possible. We are also looking at an option in 2022 for a priority processing service. We've done it in the past, but we've gotten in trouble. And what I mean by the priority processing, it means it's something that you can select where I want my order to basically it's kind of like it's like flying first class. Only thing is the difference between first class and coach is not that great anymore. But I'm hoping priority processing would be distinctively better. It's kind of almost like a white glove service. The idea is to be able to just prioritize your order so that it goes through the order processing in an accelerated fashion. Where we've run into problems where we tried this a number of years ago is too many people were taking advantage of priority processing. I don't want to say taking advantage, I would say, because it was there, it was being offered. Too many people were ordering it. And I think because we weren't charging enough, and we were like, okay, well, we're not able to really provide that special service at the level that we intended, because too many people are ordering priority processing. So we're going to experiment with it. We're probably going to only offer it for certain products, because some products it's really hard to do priority processing. Again, picture framing runs into problems at times getting the certain supplies or other ceramic tiles, all those kind of knickknack items. We are only able to keep a limited inventory, and when someone will come along and place a huge bulk order and just wipe out that inventory, and then we have to wait a week for a restock sometimes. So we may limit priority processing to only certain types of orders. I don't want to charge a huge fee that's going to discourage people from using it, but we're going to have to charge something that makes it fair and makes it something that we can afford to hire that additional help that would be needed to be able to provide that priority processing. So, but I think it'll be beneficial to many of our users, especially that need to get orders filled quickly. So hopefully it'll be a good thing. It's not meant for us to generate a whole lot of revenue. It's meant mainly to improve what we are currently offering, or have, being able to afford to offer certain improvements that can only become by, bringing in that revenue to be able to pay for it. So
just to clarify, this would actually, priority processing would go ahead and take care of turnaround time, where, like, I know some people,
it'd be focused on, so shipping time would be still dependent upon the shipping method that's selected, but it would accelerate things through the production process. If anyone sees our production process, we have multiple departments, and each department has a different set of steps that they might have to go through. And even within those departments that might do multiple types of products, the steps vary. And so, and a lot of times they will group things together, wait till a certain quantity is ready before we take it into a specific phase of the production process, so we can kind of more effectively do things in batches. But the priority processing idea would be to basically kind of just run it through the process uninterrupted, like maybe the first part of the day, so, but we wouldn't need to have individuals that can be responsible in doing that versus the regular production staff. So that's something we're looking at. I don't have a time frame, but hopefully within the next month, maybe even this month, if we can get it done in time. So, now there are some products that we, every year I'm always looking to add new products. We are. This year is not going to be any different, except I'm going to be focused a little bit more on making improvements with our existing products, and some of it has to do with technology changes, that newer printers, replacing old equipment, that sort of thing, to improve the output. Some of it has to do with making maybe slight adjustments in how how things are done by hand, where there's more of a manual process. Make sure people are trained to do things consistently. But there will be a few products. One that we're looking at offering, and it's because of in 2020, and let me kind of go back, looking at 2020, 2021, actually. And it was because of the, this kind of gave us an opportunity, 2021 gave us an opportunity to expand into an area of printing that we did not have the capability of doing so. And that is flatbed printing. Now, flatbed printing, you may not know, but has been pretty much delegated, or not delegated, just reserved for the commercial printing industry. You don't see a whole lot of fine art printing companies, even a whole lot of photo labs, except for the really big ones, offering products which are done on a flatbed printer. We were forced into this. Now, granted, we're probably big enough to be able to, even if we weren't forced, it was something that we had been looking at something in the future, but it came along sooner than we expected. And that was because of a product shortage. 2021, the summer of 2021, we saw problems with acquiring the metal for the Chrome Lux metal prints, which are extremely popular with our customers. The shortages affected some of your most popular, like your white gloss, but we have some customers that order quite frequently. Just believe it or not, the least popular with Chrome Lux is the silver matte, the clear matte. We do a ton of clear matte because of these customers that have, these are Etsy sellers that have lots of Etsy sales on a daily basis, that have gravitated to the silver matte. Now, we ran into a situation where Chrome Lux halted production on this for 3 months, I believe it was, or we were looking at a 3-month time frame, and we did not have any alternative options for our customers that had this need for these silver matte. So we came up and said, well, what about printing directly on aluminum panels? You can't dye sub directly to aluminum panels because the inks will wear off very easily. The Chrome Lux is a specially treated metal panel to be able to, it has kind of an enamel coating on it to make sure that those inks fuse and stay on it. So we needed to find, so we looked at, okay, well, what if we print directly to it, but we would need a flatbed printer in order to do that? Well, so that's what we decided. Let's do that. Let's print on aluminum that can be much easier to come by, just plain aluminum panels, and print directly on that because of the shortage of what we needed. And little kind of interesting side note for that is we ended up changing, say, okay, well, let's not print on aluminum, let's print on Dibond. One, we discovered that finding aluminum in pristine condition that you can, with that's not all scratched up, and it was very difficult. Plus, we found that the Dibond looked much better just in general with its brushed metal look. And so our users, which were previously having their prints done on the silver matte, gravitated and loved the Dibond when we showed them tests. And so it was like, okay, well, that's what we're going to do. So we started offering the Dibond prints. Now that led us to be able to do some other things, such as the flatbed printing technology let us do the 2.5D printing, I call it, where it's texture and raised printing. But that was a big change, you know. It required us to build a whole new department in FinerWorks. One of the things we are planning on doing is adding a new product for that department to produce. Nothing earth-shattering, but prints that are done direct on gatorboard, which is a lightweight, sturdier alternative to foam core. And so we already mount prints to gatorboard, but we feel that we can probably offer something a little bit cheaper than, you know, it won't be a giclée per se, but it'll be a little bit less costly print that is on gatorboard and very durable, you know, fairly scratch resistant, water resistant as well. So we're looking at offering gatorboard prints that can be hung directly on the wall. And I see gatorboard prints or prints mounted on gatorboard all the time, you know, as both decor as well as in commercial establishments. I went to a car dealership recently, and I looked up at they had tons of prints all along the wall, kind of high up. They were all printed on gatorboard, and they looked beautiful. They were, you know, these brand new cars and so forth. And so I think there's some potential in there for certain artists, certain photographers. So that's something we're looking at doing. Canvas is, yeah, that's an example of gatorboard, and it's almost like foam core, and it's something, give something to mount prints to, but printing directly, I think will be faster. It'll be and the prints look great. We did a run of about kind of a special run for a customer on the gatorboard prints of, I want to say probably about it was at least several hundred prints, 11 by 12, no, 12 by 18 size, I think it was, not 11 by 14 frame prints in gatorboard, and they look beautiful. So we did kind of vet that side of it and make sure that it's something that we felt comfortable with doing. So
when do you think those would be available as an option to order on the site, James?
Well, we have everything we need. We just, right now, we just need to get it posted online. Mm-hmm. And then just click the on button on our side, and, you know, in the back end in our database, I guess you could call it, and it'll be available. So we have I need to go through it and make sure everything is set to go. Double check, make sure our price points are where they need to be. Last time I looked, that they were, I thought they needed to be, but then some of the larger sizes were coming out much more expensive than I was planning on having
What
one.
are what is the max size looking like on the gator board?
Well, I think we're gonna,
Being gator board, just wondering what
yeah,
the max size y'all go with that.
yeah, I think we're gonna probably stop at either 24 by 36 or 30 by 40. We can do larger, but it becomes very costly to ship things much bigger. Uh,
Is the
they
durability still there when you increase on the size?
Durability is still there. It's just they're more prone to you have to we have to take extra steps
Mhm.
to protect it for when it's being shipped, because again, these are sturdier than foam core, but they are still lightweight, and if
Mhm.
you drop them, you drop a gatorboard print on a corner, it's gonna, you
Yeah.
know, it's gonna damage. So I wish I had a sample piece here
Yeah.
to show someone, but uh
Well, we'll
so
have to do a whole topic on that when it's ready, and we'll show people how to
yeah,
go through and order
yeah,
and
yeah,
show some samples of it.
the other thing, we want to provide a hanging solution that's going to hold up, so people can just hang them on the wall unframed if they want to, kind of a panel, hanging option. So I don't know if we have that. I have to check on that, see if we have that worked out. So I wanted to go into framing. As I said in my blog post, my article, is that the framing industry was hit very hard in 2020. This carried into 2021. And companies like us were greatly impacted. And the reason being is because our suppliers, the frame molding companies, I call them the framer suppliers, were cutting back on how many boxes or how many feet of molding that they were carrying in their warehouses. We use some of the biggest names in the business to supply us picture frame molding, like example, what you see in the Melissa's background image. Those corner pieces are made of frame moldings. Those are the the picture frame is, well, I'll use this corner as a piece. As you have we call these profiles, and so many of these get produced overseas. Some are done here in the States. Your more costly ones are done in the States, for obvious reasons. But even the ones in the States were we were running into limits to how much was available to us. So it wasn't a rationing situation. It was a situation where there just wasn't enough available for us and every picture framer on the planet that ordered from that particular company. Now, fortunately, we like I said, we use some of the biggest names in business. We have actually, I think we have 4 molding suppliers that we use. Most frame shops might, well, not, I don't want to say, I can't speak for that. I know a lot of frame shops will only use one. But Melissa, wasn't your experience when you were working the gallery that they only used the one?
No, we actually used 3 of them.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I do know of some frame shops which you kind of small mom and pops which will use one, but the advantage to using multiple ones is not always, but some cases, you can find the exact same molding, might be made differently, or made by a different company, overseas or wherever, but the shape and the style is the same. So it's the exact same, looks like the exact same molding, I should say. It's not the exact same. Um, so there's been times where we've been able to find substitutes. We don't like to use substitutes because when you start substituting moldings, sometimes it one of two things, sometimes two of two things can happen. One is you risk getting a molding that is not as good a quality. That doesn't happen too often, but we have had instances where we switched the molding out just temporarily until we could get a regular supply back in stock. We find, oh well, this doesn't cut as good, or what have you, or the gesso on it chips, if it has it like as this example here. Or you run in a situation where the alternative is much more expensive. Now that tended to be what we ran into more often than not, is that the alternative was more expensive. Usually, just as good, if not better quality, but occasionally we'd run into one, like I said, that was not only more expensive, but also not as good a quality. So that was one of the challenges that we dealt with. Now, getting that molding in stock, having that available, and what it did is that it hurt our customers because they needed orders to be fulfilled, and we weren't able to fulfill them because we needed, or we weren't able to fulfill them at the speed that we normally would, because we needed to get the molding in. So 2022, I expect some of that to start to ease up. It was very intense in 2021, but we believe in 2022, it will start to get back to normal, not completely. It'll be bad until at least into the end of the second quarter of 2022. And I know this because there's some moldings that we have custom made just for FinerWorks, and we were told a turnaround time of 6 months at best. So whereas when we first ordered that particular molding, it was done in 6 weeks. So anyway, so we're hoping that starts to get back to normal though in 2022. The prices unfortunately won't go down back to what I call pre-pandemic prices. They've gone up and they're going to stay up. So we're trying to find ways where we can kind of offset those price increases on the frame moldings. And then technology. As for obvious reasons, everyone knows we use a lot of printers. We one brand of wide format printer, we have 8 of them. And we'll probably have 10, and we have other brands of wide format printers that we use as well. I'm not even sure how many total wide format printers we have at the moment. I could probably find out. I counted them, but it's quite a few. One of the things that we also do is we use some cases proprietary software to, not for all of them, but for some of the printers, we use some proprietary software to process the files, and then we use some other programs to actually do the printing. Well, we have other printers, like I said, that use different programs, and it's always a challenge, because especially when you hire someone new, because you have to teach them how to use some very what appear to be very complex programs and printing programs. Those are not just like printing, stuff
Print from Photoshop.
yeah, and you have to train them with color management and so forth. And having, we have four different programs that we use to do wide format printing with, depending upon the type of printer being used. It can be very consistent. It's a lot of information that our technicians have to be familiar with. So we're going to try to consolidate, go to some of these third-party software solutions, which are able to run all these different printers but have the same interface and the similar workflow. So we're not having to bounce from one system to another. And so that's an area where I think will allow us to be more consistent with the appearance of images as they're printed on various substrates, because we'll print a Kodak print, and then we'll one of our Kodak professional prints, then we'll print a canvas print, and the colors it will look very different, because the color management workflow might be limited with the software we're using for one program, but less limited on the other. So if we can kind of bring some of those together. Same thing with cards. Cards, right now the cards are already that technology uses a more limited color palette as it is, but we're going to find ways through the use of technology where we can kind of bump that up, so we can get more consistency in the appearance, whether it be a folded greeting card or a fine art paper print that has the same image printed on. So we're going to try to kind of have less of a difference that you'll see in the output.
But have you utilize ICC profiles?
Well, that comes into play, but we have to look at, okay, what can we do to find software that, like, for instance, the ICC profiles may offer some improvement, but it could be that we need to improve the ICC profile itself.
Okay.
So there's probably a dozen different things that we're going to have to look at when it comes to technology, and I can't say for sure what is going to make the difference, because in some cases it's going to be a trial and error thing. We can figure out if do we use this program, do we modify our color management workflow to include this or that. Maybe on this product we have to do this, on that product we don't. So it's too many unknowns at this point.
Yeah, I know that's always been a question with people who have prints to their and then they order cards, and that's always been a question on why isn't there an ICC profile for cards?
Yeah, well, certain products you just can't accurately profile because of changes in the paper itself. It's like the card stock. We don't use a specific brand per se, because those brands can come and go. Especially now, there's paper shortages, but we've had to switch from certain card stock to find another one that may, like our which one was it recently? I think it was the linen. So our typical linen, or no, I'm sorry, it was the watercolor felt. So we had 3 different manufacturers that we can use. I believe it's 3, the watercolor felt. One of them, we couldn't get the paper anymore. They were out. So we had to go with another manufacturer. Well, the cardstock was the white point turned out it was not quite the same. whereas an IC profiles rely on a white point to be consistent, to match the, the actual media. So it would have been pointless to offer an IC profile.
Mm.
That's why we've had trouble with providing IC profiles for the metal prints, is because for whatever reason, and I don't think it's as bad. Maybe Chromlux did something that was different, but we would get metal prints, the ones with the white base, within the same shipment, look like they came from the same run. You'd see differences in the white point. And so you can't really provide an accurate profile. I'm going to look at that though this year, because it looks like we're not running into that as much. So we may actually be able to finally provide a good or relatively accurate profile to softproof with. Chromlux has one, I believe, for their metal, but it's not going to be accurate because, or it may not be accurate unless their white points are accurate. And white points are basically the level of white on that surface. So, but I'm cautiously optimistic that that might be getting resolved now with Chromlux. So we'll see. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
So anyway, technology, we will be, this is more of an internal thing, but we will be looking at ways we can use technology to improve our workflow, improve our products, all that stuff. So the next thing I talked about was price increases, and that I don't care what anyone says. I've heard people say, "Oh, there's no price increases." There's definite price increases. If you are in any sort of manufacturing business, it's the prices have gone up just incredible, by incredible amounts for everything from both raw materials as well as for just transportation, get those raw materials to the factory. And if it's not raw materials, for the companies that make the more refined materials that are needed, they're charging more because they have to ship that. They have to pay more, and then they have to ship that to companies like us, where we then produce the product. So in 2022, rather than just doing what everyone else does, everyone just says, okay, well, our prices have gone up, let's our costs have gone up, let's raise our prices. Well, I don't believe that's always a good practice, unless you first look at, are there ways that you can offset those prices? And so maybe and we were just talking about this today, so we offset some of our packaging material supplies by taking advantage of savings that we can in janitorial supplies, things of that nature. And these are, any business has to kind of strategize. So we're going to look at ways we can avoid raising prices first. Okay. One of the things that we don't want to do is lose repeat customers because it's become too expensive. But I will say this is artists should also examine, because there is the potential that some price increases can't be avoided. And if you're selling stuff on Etsy or your website and you're selling for dirt cheap, okay, really evaluate the time and effort that you're spending to sell a bunch of dirt cheap prints versus something more refined and higher end. So you might not make as many sales, but it's not necessarily about volume of sales. It's about how much you can, net, how much you can actually profit within a given time frame. And that's how you have to look at your business, whether you're selling on Etsy or your own website or at an art show, what have you. Don't focus on the volume. Volume's great, but if it's you're finding yourself having to work super hard, okay, for the same amount of money that you only have to work a fraction of as much, I would go for the one where you're not having to work as hard. Anyway, but one of the things, if price increases are going to have a greater impact on those volume sellers, because those items tend to be sold at very low margins. If you're selling 8x10 Kodak print for $5 on Etsy, or $10, even $10 on Etsy, and then suddenly, those 8x10 Kodak prints go up by $1 or $2, whatever it is, as a result of the print going up, the shipping going up, whatever it is going up, you're going to have, unless you've raised your prices as well, which I know Etsy sellers hate to do, and I don't blame them, but unless you're going to find yourself really kind of in a bind at some point. So I think I would like to see our users focus more and more on the high-end stuff, because not only they ultimately find themselves making more in the long run. Yeah. So that's kind of my talk about prices, but we'll I'll just say, I'll end it by that part by saying, we are going to continue to pursue avoiding raising prices where we can. Product upgrades. As I say, I'm always excited at this prospect of adding new items for our users. This year we'll first be focused on, as I said, upgrading the production process in certain areas. We'll also look at ways we can improve the quality. That's something we constantly go through. An example is the adhesive for certain types of mounting hardware on the hanging hardware on the metal prints. We were using certain adhesives, and we had done so for several years and without a problem. All of a sudden, I don't know if it was changing the adhesive at the manufacturer. It was supposed to be the same adhesive. It stopped working, and prints started falling off walls because they were falling off the hanging hardware. And so we're constantly put in a position where we're having to look at, okay, well, is this working anymore? Or does something change? Or but we're also looking at ways we can, with our existing ones, which, hey, maybe they, maybe the average user or a user on average gives a specific product a B plus, and our maybe what can we do to make it, at least an A minus, if not an A plus, as far as the perception of accuracy and quality. So we're going to be looking at that. And I mentioned new products, and with the gatorboard, we'll continue to look at other stuff. Sometimes things come our way that we hadn't thought of before. And then again, turnaround time. So constantly trying to make improvements on turnaround time. Yeah. Again, we made great strides in 2021. I really feel, even without the whole priority processing option that I had mentioned earlier, I think we're going to make some improvements in 2022. Rupel, our COO, she is, I'm going to say militant about it. She is, uh, our customer service team, they hears it, they hear it from our customers when orders don't go out quickly, but boy, do they, but our production department really hears it from our COO. So anyway, so that's FinerWorks and what we have in store for 2022.
James, where can customers, if they want to make suggestions for products, I know we're always looking to
customer care at finerworks.com.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and we're always open to ideas, different papers. If we get enough people, like if there's a certain fine art paper, and we get enough people that request it, we add it. There's been times we've added dedicated printers for certain customers because they have enough volume, and so forth. So we are open to that. We are also going to be entertaining an idea for more of a, now this is not priority processing. This is an actual white glove service, not a DIY. FinerWorks is DIY, do it yourself, in most cases, where we are, here's the tools to upload your file, preview your print, et cetera, where we are looking at a more, I guess you want to say more kind of managed service versus a just here are the keys, more chauffeured service, I guess we can call it, where customers will have the opportunity to work with an artist that will work with them directly, making sure that their files are appropriate, send them a preview, a high quality preview of the print beforehand, that they can offer that they can review and then make changes as need be, and then ultimately print. So that's something we're looking at. We did add, and this was, I talked about offsetting our prices. This was part of that initiative, or offsetting price increases. So COAs, it's something we built in. It's for us, it's a fairly high margin item, for obvious reasons. It's a good quality paper, but we needed something that we could offer our users that not only would be valuable to them, but help us offset the price increases we've been experiencing. So this was one of those items that we added. It's, but it's also becomes valuable for the artist selling their work, because it makes it possible to put, include an actual certificate of authenticity. Now, there's several ways you can go about this. There's the open edition print, or I'm sorry, the open edition version. I'm going to go to that page as well here. The numbered series, the original or unique work, and the artist proof. And let me kind of explain what the four styles or types are. Open edition means it's kind of a general use certificate. You're not trying to sell it as a signed and numbered print. It's just something to say, hey, this is the artist, this is the title of the work, and this is how it was made. And you can use like the inks that are used. Now, if you add this certificate of authenticity after you add a print to your cart, it will pre-populate the inks that are used and so forth. But you can always, in the type of paper or canvas, but you could always go back and edit that if you need to. But an open edition print is simply again, just kind of a general use certificate. Numbered series, or if you're going to do a, like a signed and numbered, or you're going to be doing it in a certain limited run. Okay. And so it gives you the ability when you select the numbered series, go ahead and select that, Melissa, on your screen. Okay. So what it'll give you the ability to put the edition number, which is what that particular print is numbered at, as well as the total in the edition. And that will go, when you add that number, say, go ahead and add one about 100, say, and then just refresh the preview. Okay, so it'll add that information after numbered series. Now, I suggest putting title of the work. You enter any title, whatever you titled the work. The artist name, and I'm kind of all over here. I forgot to go over the others, but this information is relevant to the other types, certificate types as well. The artist name, leave blank if you plan on physically signing it. Now, we have some of our customers that will type their name. That's fine if you want to do that. We have some customers which will leave it blank and tell their buyer that says, hey, if you'd like me to sign it, sign the certificate, go ahead and ship it back to me, and I'll sign it and ship it, and then mail the certificate to me, and then I'll mail it back to you. If that works for you, you can do that. But the option is either way. Now, again, the about print, that will pre-populate with information if you're adding this certificate from within your shopping cart versus just going directly to it. It'll take the certificate, or the print that the certificate's assigned to in your shopping cart, and know what information to put there. Going back to the certificate types, where we're at, original or unique work. Now, that can be very useful even for digital artists. A lot of times you might be or a photographer. Maybe you're doing a portrait. Okay, you're going to only do one print, so that could be used in that case, or it's kind of maybe a custom sign, anniversary, with song lyrics as an anniversary gift on metal. I don't know who does that. Do you?
No idea. Every day sitting there, don't know.
Yeah. Let's put it this way: we make a lot of those. Anyway, so it could be included as something like that. And then, or it could be, maybe you just want to order a certificate of authenticity. You like this and style, and you want to do it for your original painting. Well, it's available here for you. And finally, there's the artist proof. Now, this is kind of like the stepchild of prints. I don't know if it's politically correct to say red-headed stepchild or not. Is that negative? That's probably, yeah, it's probably not a good thing to say anymore. So, but anyway, it's kind of that. An artist proof is kind of a unique print because an artist proof can be the worst print that's made before a really nice numbered series, but it can go for the highest amount of money. Wouldn't you say that's true at times?
Yeah, I mean, Andy Warhol has the Sunday morning print series, and then he has what they're basically test setups, where he was
they're test prints.
And I mean, they have ink from his hands probably on it, and his name, but they're Andy Warhols, and they're very, very, profitable to have.
Yeah. So, but anyway, and then, again, I'm just jumping all over the place here. Image to display. Now you have the ability to add a thumbnail image that will display right kind of between the title and the name of the artist. It's kind of cool because it has a a visual representation of that image. Now, what we do is you add the certificate of authenticity within your shopping cart that's assigned to a print, then it will take that thumbnail from that print in the shopping cart and put that there. So it's kind of a cool feature. And then on the back, I don't have it to preview here, but we print on the back of the certificate kind of like a chain of custody. So when the artwork gets, let's say if the print is purchased by your buyer, you can put your name and they can put their name as the owner. And when that was sold, and if they go and sell that print, they can continue to, the next person can put their name and who owns that print, or it may be even original. So there is a chain of custody form on the back for, I think, up to 12 sales. Figured, I don't know why, but I thought 12 was a good number.
Kind of a blockchain there, huh?
Yeah. And then finally, and which should have been firstly, was you can do them right now. It says up to 100. You can do more. Obviously, you just have to go back and order more. But there are bulk discounts with these built in also. So and then if you wanted to, you could also just add a blank one to your order it as a blank certificate. I think we've had some people order like a pack of 100 just blank ones that they just fill everything out by hand, or I guess they type on it, what have you. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the certificates, and I don't have anything more.
Well, I know I kind of wanted to just to kind of go on about our these FinerWorks live discussions is what we're calling them for 2022 now. And we put these on to have good information out there for our customers, and but I want to know what you guys want too. And I brainstorm different topic ideas to have on here and present, and I go over them usually with James, and we try to see what something that you guys would like, but your input is valued. So if y'all want to suggest anything, just let me know, because I'd like to put something that is valuable to you. So some of the topics that we're looking at for 2022, I believe, okay, next month we're going to be doing soft proofing, and James will be talking about that. The other thing I wanted to do was kind of an artist demonstration. One of the biggest questions we get, I think, has been, I want to hand embellish, and I want to use XYZ media on XYZ paper or canvas. And honestly, there's so many different combinations in the world that can possibly be done that obviously we haven't learned them all or tried them. So with that, if you're an artist that's done hand embellishment, you may have caught Mary Jean Ruhnke doing a hand embellishment on some prints using gold leaf and stuff like that. And she's done that. If you're an artist that wants to do a demonstration of that, let us know. We would love to have you kind of host one of these and show people how you use your media on some of our papers and canvases. Also, if you are an artist or a business out there that has classes, kind of our photo tips monthly. Jim Landers actually teaches photography classes. But if you're somebody out there who says like they train artists how to better sell, or how to better represent themselves, or do marketing, even if you offer courses, if you want to just kind of give a sliver of one of your courses so people understand your technique and what's available in taking your courses, because those are some things that everybody really, really needs. James, another update that he's working on all the time, as we were speaking about cards, is cards in post. Once we have that, really together, we'll get you when it's updated. We'll give a training on that, on how to do your cards, put your logo on the back, typing. There's a few things that we want to look at upgrading to kind of make sure that the quality of type uh, is perfect for you.
Yeah,
So,
I want to kind of touch on that. Why that is one of the problems we've run into is with the technology is it appears Adobe points and points online, when we're talking about font size, are not the exact same thing. And so so we see a lot of not all, well, a lot, or I should say enough instances where that becomes a problem. And so we want to try to find ways to improve the ability for people to get the text they want printed on the inside of a card or back of card, and in the style they want. So we're going to make that possible. We're going to make some improvements in there. Yeah.
so once we have that nailed down, we'll do a presentation on that. Another topic that I really wanted to have out there, I've worked in galleries in Austin at Art on Fifth, which is now AO5. So I'm going to try talking to a few galleries and see if they would be have gallerists give you give a presentation on preparing for a gallery show, so you can
Basically how to approach a gallery, right? Also,
yeah, we'll talk about approaching a gallery, because I know when I was having the intake artists coming in, I'd have somebody, we're at a contemporary gallery, and you have people who want to do, the blue bonnets. And it's not, any rejection from a gallery is not a rejection on your work, because it's just the gallery saying, I don't have that clientele yet. Because I can say, I could keep it here. It may sit here for a year and a half. You could go down to Fredericksburg, a smaller gallery, but they're going to probably sell it within 3 weeks, and you're going to get paid, and you'll probably get, asked to have more work there. They have the clientele. They've curated those collectors.
yeah.
So
I think the bottom line is a gallery is trying to find products in the form of artwork in which there is a demand for their customer base. And so their customer base might not be Wild West style art. Their customer base might be contemporary art. So there's not a need for Wild West style art in their gallery.
That's what I used to tell people, never feel rejected. It's just, I don't have that, I haven't curated that clientele. But I want to do, basically, how do you find out about the calls for art? Preparing originals and fine art prints for galleries, pricing, because that's another issue when when artists approach galleries and we ask them, what price do you want this at? It's having to know what you want in return, and also know what the gallery split is. So hopefully we can talk to those topics and have seasoned gallerists talk to you and what their galleries are looking for, and also what a gallery should provide you. And there's a lot that goes in. People ask, there's a 60-40 split and 60% goes to the gallery. Why is that? There's insurance, there's overhead. One gallery I worked at, our rent for the month was $24,000 a month. So when you have galleries like with high overhead like that, you're going to have this higher split for the galleries, but they're providing you that. They're also providing you staff that's going to educate collectors about you and represent you. So you want to know what you're getting when you're having that split, and we'll have them talk about that. I'll probably do a 2022 Geo Galleries update, with any kind of new little ways of getting to certain parts of the gallery when you're setting up your stuff. And there's a couple of inventory items that I really want to help y'all kind of do. Like I tell people a lot of the times, specialty items don't work as well on Geo Galleries because it's intended as wall art, kind of online shopping. So we'll go into that. selling photos and prints, selling photo prints as art. I know a couple of persons that only deal with photography, and that's their gallery. So maybe getting someone of them to come in and talk about how you can actually position your photography as art and have that sold. Options to sell your prints online, in person, and through physical retailers. Branding yourself as an artist or photographer to collectors. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, the gatorboard that James is mentioning. I would love to do a thing when we have that all down. We'll definitely touch on that. Also, maybe frame design tips. I love framing. And it's a little harder, I think, sometimes for people when they're trying to do it online. And I think that's just having a fear of running through everything and understanding colors and combinations. But like James is mentioning, we have Larson Jewels, and we have a bunch of molding providers here, and we can do something where you guys can have like a design tip, because sometimes it's great to have your art ready to hang in that presentation. And if you can have that as your drop shipping as well, it's already going to leave here and go to a collector ready to hang on their wall. And that's just, it's an awesome option to have for collectors, because trust me, I have a whole bunch of stuff I still need to get framed up because they're only available as prints. But having that framed option for a collector is awesome, especially when it has, in some cases, like you can do a standard black on a white mat, that goes with everything. But there's sometimes that some of y'all have such an interesting way of combining the frame, the mat, and whatever your print is. And that's just an extension of the presentation of your work and a presentation of your style. So I'd love to touch on design tips that kind of help you guys with that, so that y'all might be able to have that there. We also have framing as an inventory item. If you just want to send your collectors frames that they're going to put together, but we'll show you how to do some of those. And those are some topics that I have kind of put in my head to go ahead and schedule up for this coming year. But if there's something that you guys would like to have us, hunt down, get somebody to come do this, let us know. One of our most popular ones of these has been our paper from Clampett, Lewis, who's talked about all of our stuff. And if you go to our playlist, and hit our first Tuesdays playlist. Let me get it here. Right there. And let's schedule it for this coming year. But if there's, let me just pause that there so we don't have the thing, but it'll give you a whole list of, here on the mobile version's a lot better because you can see this list a lot bigger. But go down in here and take a look at some of these in the past that we've done. Like I said, Lewis has probably been one of the most popular ones that we have had. And these topics are to help you guys. There's on Hammermill paper, we got our Hammermill rep who came in and talked about the quality of the papers, the history of the company. And that is to better educate you with your collectors, so you're able to convey why your media is, is a high standard for your work. It's an extension of your work there. Why you chose a particular medium to have printed on is an extension. And knowing about it and being able to talk about it, have an educated background on it, it comes out when you speak on your products. And I know this because I've had to sell art. And so I've had people ask me weird questions about, inks or media, and knowing why it's chosen and knowing, how durable it is, how long the inks and colors last on it. It's really good to know. And I ask those questions when I go buy from artists that sell prints. And I want to know, how long is that going to last? Anything from a print to a silkscreen print. You want to know, as a buyer, you want to be an educated buyer. And it's just really great when you have an artist that's educated on it too, and you can kind of have this discussion on the thing. And I think that's, with those things, I never argue a price. I know what everything is worth. So knowing that and being able to convey those online and in your in-person sales, that's why we have all of these first Tuesdays. It's something that we want to have to help you. And James, we're right at 8 o'clock. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I don't. I guess I'm just,
Got a few in there.
what, can you hear me? Okay. No, I don't think that was it. Oh, yeah, I do. Just let everyone know we are running a special on Canvas, 33% off any of the Canvas types that we offer. So, now's a good time to take advantage of that. I think that, did we talk about the free shipping? Well, we did, but it was before the
Yeah.
meeting officially starts. So it might be on YouTube, but so any orders for $100 or more, free shipping is available. So
The sale runs into January 7th.
this Friday
midnight
at
Central
midnight,
Time.
yeah,
Okay.
and this Friday at midnight, yeah. So that's it.
All
So
right. And we do have just a couple quick announcements. Like I said, next month we're going to talk on soft proofing, and James will be covering how to soft proof for your accuracy there on getting your prints. We also have this Thursday, which will be the 6th of January, Photo Tips Monthly with Jim Landers, and he's going to be going on portrait planning. So same thing, if you want, you just log into your FinerWorks account and it'll be there on your dashboard if you want to join us on Zoom, or you can join us on YouTube live chat. Let's see, we also, as soon as we're all covered inside and done our new entrance, I'll do a video for you guys to see. You can watch our social media for that too. So we're still trying to get it, still kind of under construction. It's almost complete, but that new entrance is really, really nice. And we'll show you that soon. And like I said, if you guys can share anything on our social media stuff so that you're able to see it. The more engagement you do, you'll get these notifications from us. Our social media, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. We're all over the place. But if you can, our YouTube, join, subscribe, hit like on the button so that we know which of these are actually valuable to you. All right. And with that, I think we're done with the first one of 2022.
right.
So, yeah. Okay. Well, again, thank you, Steve, especially. Thank you for coming in and joining us on Zoom. Did you have any questions, Steve?
No, as I talked to James recently, I'm interested in embellishments, and I've seen a couple of your YouTube videos already, but I'm looking for somebody to take a class or a workshop from, but I could probably talk to you about that later.
Yeah. I know on Saturday, are you local here in San Antonio?
I am up in Bernie, so yes, I'm local.
Okay. I know Jerry's on Rama does Saturday stuff with media and papers. If you're ever looking at taking a paper test pack and checking out some of the videos there just to see how it works on paper. Also helps.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah, and Steve, if I recall, you work in Corel Painter a lot.
I do.
And then you want to embellish with like acrylics, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
So yeah, that might be something if we can find an artist that does that, that might be a good idea to do.
Okay. Well, I'll get in touch with you in about 3 or 4 weeks. I'm going to Egypt and Jordan here in a couple of days. So.
Right. Well, Steve, if you'll also just email me again so I have all of your specifications. Listen at FinerWorks.com. Okay.
Right. Sounds good. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, Steve. Okay. Thank you again for watching. And if you're watching on the replay, thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye.